sure there'll be a few more joining, but thanks to all of you who have joined us today for our last TATT Chat of the month. And with the holiday weekend fast approaching, some people may have already taken off, but hopefully we'll have a few more joining us. And as chairman attended at the top, I again just want to welcome anyone new to the format and to thank everybody who's attended before. Today we have again, I always learn something new, but our guest speaker today is Robin Gabriel, and Robin is founder and CEO, as you see on the screen, of Veterans. What does AC in? I'm sure Robin is going to ascend, ability ascend. There you go, it's a word. So I'm looking forward to hearing what Robin has to say, and directly after Robin, you'll see on the agenda, we'll have Dean and some of our county updates. But without any further ado, I'll turn the event over to Robin. Thank you for coming, Robin.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. I'm going to share my screen. Everybody see that?
Yes. Yeah, we're good.
There we go. All right. Well, thanks for your time this afternoon. I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you about what we're doing and the work that we're doing. So you've no doubt heard employers talk about their struggles to fill jobs and find talent, and that nearly every business conversation, you've probably had them even today about workforce and filling jobs. But did you know that 75% of applicants that apply for jobs online never reach a human being? And for veterans and military spouses, it's 95%. When they apply for jobs online, they never reach a human being. There's a lot of reasons for that, which I won't go into, but it's the reality of the online application process. So I am Robin Grable. I am a Navy veteran and the founder and CEO of Veterans Ascend and Ability Ascend, which we'll touch on very quickly towards the end because it's just getting up and running. It's brand new. After 9 years in the Navy and about 30 years in HR, along with other HR professionals, veterans, and military spouses, we built Veterans Ascend to address these online application needs of our veterans and our employers. So struggling to fill jobs, I think the latest Manpower study came out and said 69% of employers are struggling to fill their jobs. And it's probably only going to get worse as the unemployment situation irons itself out after the pandemic, or as we get through the pandemic now. But 40% of those employers cite that sourcing talent is really their biggest struggle. How do they find the talent that they need for their organizations? We know military talent brings a lot to the table, but it's how you connect with the military and how you understand their skills and their experience. For small businesses, they don't necessarily always have the resources to understand and spend the time translating skills, understanding the experience, and how a veteran or military spouse fits into their organization. So we really work on those direct connections. So imagine you're one of those businesses that's out there looking through the millions of applicants who are really throwing their resumes at just about anything that in the hopes that it will stick. Instead of finding the right talent for your business. And wouldn't you rather have you or your staff spend time actually interviewing, onboarding, and going through a lot more business initiatives than trying to source through all of that noise and really improve the quality of your hires and match your candidates across all jobs in your organization? Because that's really key. I believe in finding talent today is how that candidate fits across an organization, not for just one job that they happen to find and find that they might be qualified for, whether or not they are. But wouldn't it be better to have you match across all of your jobs within the organization? So that's what we do. We're an AI talent sourcing platform. We connect candidates versus applicants to employers using our algorithm that identifies exact matches matches quickly and efficiently. Our candidates are matched across the organization because our subscribers can create unlimited jobs in our platform. And that really does two things. Again, for the candidates, it allows them really an open door to almost anything that matches their skills. So rather than limiting a military candidate to a job that matches their title, we can match on skills across the organization. And it also helps, again, the employers see how you fit, how a candidate fits across the organization. And it's really about bringing quality candidates to the door and getting the opportunity for an interview. So we do that with our algorithms. We translate military and civilian occupations into a skills profile and then automatically align that to the employer's job profiles when they pick the exact skills they're looking for, set the location and the salary requirements, and our algorithm then matches the two. We do not use a resume. We do not require our candidates to search for jobs or apply first to get to an interview. These are direct connections, real conversations with real hiring managers, real decision makers, with real candidates. We remove those barriers and the bias. As subscribers match with our candidates, the only thing we focus them on is the skills. They don't see the name of the candidate, they don't see any ethnicity, they don't see any gender. We really want them to focus on the skills they need for their organization and the skills this candidate brings to the table. And then when you unlock their contact information and you get to know their name and email, you may ascertain certain information about them. But at that point, our intent is that it doesn't matter if I'm male or female, what my ethnicity is. It matters that I have the skills you need for your organization. Let's have a conversation and let me tell you about my experience. So our business model is completely free for all service members, veterans, and military spouses. It is a subscription model for employers, and we really have two buckets that our employers kind of fit into. It's the monthly and annual subscribers. Our annual subscriptions are completely unlimited, so unlimited jobs, unlimited matches, and unlimited candidates for the entire year. And then we're also creating these community partnerships, which I'll talk a little bit more about in detail, because that's really bringing supply and demand together for large businesses and small local businesses. And what that entails is that large businesses get a plethora of candidates, of applications that come into their business just because I'm TD Bank. People know me and I'm going to apply there, but I don't always hire all of the candidates that apply to my organization. But what do we do with those? No organization is really doing anything with them. So we've created our community partnerships to take that talent coming into those large organizations, funnel them through Veterans Ascent and out to local small businesses who, again, as I mentioned, may not always have the resources to connect with the military talent. So we want to leverage a bigger business supply, get them through not only that big business to match more effectively throughout their organization, but also then to help our small businesses in our communities. Primarily, we're focused on women and minority-owned businesses in these partnerships to help those businesses be successful in getting the talent they need to grow and run their businesses. So we do the matching based on skills, location, and salary. And it's really, again, focusing on the skills, but aligning where a veteran or military spouse currently lives, where they want to relocate to or willing to relocate, and how their salary lines up with the salary that the employer can offer them. So how we work for our subscribers, kind of behind the scenes, we have advocates on staff that build relationships with all the military installations around the world, veteran service organizations like UWS, and other. We're also the only skills matching service in the DOL, Department of Labor's pilot program for this year, where they brought in 9 organizations outside of the DoD's transition program to really enhance how service members are transitioning out of the military. We're the only skills matching service in that pilot program that'll have us with direct connections to about 40,000 service members this year. So pretty proud of that. Being chosen to be part of that was pretty amazing. So we also do a lot of social media engagement, and we attend job fairs and events and things like that on behalf of our subscribers so that you don't have to spend, or our employers don't have to spend time sourcing military candidates and trying to understand them. We're doing all of that behind the scenes for our subscribers. Just a quick case study. We have an employer actually here in South Carolina. It's down in the low country. Sorry, it's not in the upstate. Down here in South Carolina, they have actually 75 dealerships across the U.S. 11 are currently using our program. They needed a steady pipeline of candidates because they're continuously filling positions, having some transition, but they are in a lot of rural, less metro areas. They were spending about $1,000 a week on sourcing candidates and not really having a lot of success in doing that. Right now, they're paying about $96 a week to use Veterans Ascend, and their average time to get to that first candidate is about 30 minutes because it's instant, automatic matches on the skills they need, the location, and the salary. So it's pretty cool to see it in action. It really is. It really is nice to be able to make those connections for our employers and our candidates. On the military side, just a quick kind of understanding of kind of the mindset that happens. This was a 26-year Marine veteran that there was a job called, it was for training and development. When he first saw the job description, he was like, I'm not qualified for this job, basically because he couldn't really connect what the job description described as the tasks and the skills needed to what he had done in the Marine Corps, but he was an instructor. On the flip side, we gave his resume to the employer, and they, without really understanding what we were trying to get them to do, they passed on interviewing him. He matched within Veterans Ascend blindly, of course, and until they had unlocked his contact information and saw that it was him, they really had no idea that they were talking to the same person. So it was really breaking out those barriers of even the veteran being able to translate their skills and experience and how they did, what they did in the military, how it can work in the civilian marketplace. So it was really a great heartwarming story. He interviewed, got the job. Now, we really account ourselves on the number of interviews, but this was one of those great success stories that we like to talk about. So, as I mentioned quickly, I am also the CEO and founder of Ability Ascend. It is a nonprofit for people with disabilities, and not just veterans and military spouses, but the entire candidate pool of people with disabilities. And it's really about, again, breaking those barriers for that talent pool who just can't get to that interview, whether it's they don't have any previous work experience, and as they try to put through a resume, they don't have any other titles or previous employers, they get filtered out. But we're trying to break through those barriers for people with disabilities. Our model is a very intentional hiring model to ensure that employers are focused on the skills that they need for their organization, and they're finding the right talent to fill those jobs. So that is us. Thank you very much again for the time today and the opportunity to talk with you about what we're doing. We're pretty excited about it.
Wow. I'm just blown away. That is incredibly impressive, Robin. And we do have a couple questions, and I have some others for you. The first one from Franny, she asked about the skills. Are they based off of what the applicant says they are skilled at, or do you actually do some kind of tests or have a way of witnessing what those skills are?
A great question. So we built a skills translation table for every military occupation and civilian occupations for our military spouses. So we built those tables. So we looked at every job description. It was very time consuming, but very worthwhile. Looked at all those job descriptions and everything that went into being an infantry in the Army. What did that entail? What other responsibilities did they were required to know? And we built the skills skills translation for the veterans. So when they go in and create their profile, they choose, I was in the Army, I was 11 Bravo. We translate that into the list of skills. Now they can edit it. So if they don't want to do what they did in the military, they can take out things that are specific to that particular job, like security, or they can add in skills that they had other training and stuff. So we give them a foundation, and then they can build on that.
So you guys are located here, but obviously with a lot of it being virtual, I'm sure you have clients from all over the country and the world. You mentioned over on the coast, some or low country, a partnership. What are some other organizations or maybe some unique partnerships that you have with different types of businesses?
Yeah, great question. So we are a national program. We are headquartered here I live in Simpsonville, so our office is here in Simpsonville. But we are a national program. We started out thinking we were going to just really focus here in South Carolina. And the first time I went down to the Marine Corps Air Base in Beaufort, I met a Marine who said, well, I'm not planning to stay here in South Carolina. How can you help me? So it became, our mission to be national. We do have veterans in all 50 states, and we have employers coast to coast. We have about 52 employers using our program now, all the way California, Montana, Vermont, Rhode Island, down to Florida, Texas, so all over. Some of the unique partnerships that we have is there is the Montana Business Assistance Coalition is part of their economic development for the state capital in Helena. They bought a subscription for several of their small businesses. So it was one of our first community partnerships, but they purchased the subscription for about 10 of their local small businesses there in Montana to connect with military talent because they were really struggling to fill their jobs. We've got a partnership with the South Carolina Future Makers, was the South Carolina Manufacturing Alliance. So we've got a good partnership with them, bringing in employers here in South Carolina to use our program. But we really are really focused on the community and how we can leverage our connection from bigger businesses to smaller businesses as well. So did I answer your question, Dean?
You did. And we have another question here about from Steve Mims, who works with veterans transitioning from homelessness. Do you have a pool of reentry level positions?
Well, we do. I will tell you that we ask employers to make the minimum salary they are offering at $15 an hour. But we do have several employers that have entry-level positions as well. And on the Ability Ascend side, we're really working with veterans who are in that category because the employers have a little bit more integration process that they're working with us on, a little bit more training for their staff as well. So we've got it covered both either on veterans or ability side. Absolutely.
One thing I found fascinating from my family's history, my brother retired as a full bird colonel in the Air Force a year and a half ago. He was in there for 25 years, and he really struggled, with for a while. Of course, COVID didn't help with, finding what his niche was for jobs and for next steps. So what I find interesting is it isn't just people who were in the infantry or lower level in the military. I mean, I think you've been in that bubble or that career for 20 plus years. It is really a challenge to maneuver to the non-military type jobs, really for almost anyone who's been in the military.
Absolutely. And it's one of the reasons that we designed the program to not have them have to search or apply for jobs, but have their skills matched to anything out there that aligns with their skills. it opens up that aperture for them to consider, hey, I could go to work for a pharmaceutical company. I didn't even think my skills would apply to that. Or I could go to work for a construction company. So it really opens up the opportunities and opens up the doors for our veterans who've done a lot in their careers. But there are 33 million companies in the US. Where do you even begin? So we're trying to narrow that focus for them while not limiting them to just what their title might translate to.
Right. Another question we have is, can veterans target specific employers who are utilizing the platform?
So we don't share any of the employer names or information out with our members, our candidates. They do get notified when they match to an employer, and when the employer unlocks their contact information, at that point they're ready to call them for an interview. They get an email, the candidate gets an email saying, congratulations, Red Cross just unlocked your profile. Please be ready to respond to emails, text, phone, etc. for an interview. Right now, we're not sharing any of that, again, because we really don't want the veterans to limit themselves either in one particular industry or one particular company. We want them to be open to the possibility of any job that matches their skills. So,
and do the veterans that work with you, do some of them also at the same time work with things like SC Works and other programs, or do they tend to funnel very specifically?
Absolutely. So we definitely encourage our members to use all their resources at their disposal. And because our program is still growing, so we don't have, we've got 52 employers and about almost 300 jobs in the program. But that's not enough for the thousands, the millions of veterans. So we definitely encourage them to use other resources like SC Works. Absolutely.
And you mentioned that y'all are part of a federal pilot program. Can you talk a little bit more about that and what the purpose of that pilot, what they're trying to do?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So the Department of Labor's, for a long time, they've got an organization called Veterans Employment Training Services within the Department of Labor. They've been for a long time trying to convince the DoD that we need more resources within the transition assistance program for our transitioning service members. The TATT program is it's a week-long program that takes a service member through. If you want to go to school, it'll tell you about how to get your education, use your educational benefits. If you're wanting to go straight to employment, it'll take you through how to write a resume, how to search for jobs, and then if you want to be an entrepreneur. So it's a 5-day program, but it's not working. So the DoD finally agreed that we need more resources in that program and helping our transitioning service members. The primary reason for DoD's decision, of course, is that for unemployment, the DoD pays the unemployment of a service member who does not get a job, right? So it's financially behooves them to make this process better. So we created this pilot program with 13 military installations around the world. Joint Base Charleston is one of those, the bases as part of the pilot. And they brought in 9 organizations, both nonprofit and for-profit companies, to be part of the pilot. And each of those 9 agencies does a little bit different things. Some of them do more holistic transition for veterans, very similar to what Upstate Warrior Solution does, with taking a holistic view of our veteran, our transitioning service member. Some of them focus very specifically on employment. Recruit Military is one that's also part of the pilot. Vet Jobs is another one that's part of the pilot. And then, of course, we focus very much on skills matching. So when they brought us together, they hired employment navigators. They sit down with the transitioning service member and their spouse, and they kind of do an intake on what do they need, what are they looking for, and then they assign them the resources within the pilot.
Great. I want to ask a couple questions about the ability ascend, because I think that is such also a needed opportunity. And I know in this region there have been a number of programs. I know Bon Secours St. Francis has worked very closely to hire people with a disability. Of course, The Walgreens distribution center in Anderson is very well known for that. What is maybe different about the way maybe the types of people or companies or whatever that you work with than other programs that are focusing on people with a disability?
Yeah, great question. So we're really that connector piece. So you've got your agencies that are helping those candidates get to be job ready or deal with any of the barriers they may have to get to being job ready. And then you have employers that want to hire them, but don't know how to match what they bring to the table to the jobs that they have to fill and how to integrate that great talent into their organization. So you've got these two pockets really of the employers and the candidates. There was no connector piece between the two to say, I have this job to fill. These are the skills or traits I'm looking for. Here's a candidate with those skills and traits, and be able to do it very quickly and efficiently, right? I mean, you could do it manually, but it's very time consuming. And you're kind of working one piece at a time when you do it manually versus how our algorithm can match across the organization. It does it very quickly and effectively. So it's really about bringing the two together and building that bridge and being that connector piece.
Great. We have a question from Mayor Roberts. He asks, with the recent discussion around raising the minimum wage, how successful have you been in getting a starting pay of $15 per hour? Have you had some employers who have balked or not participated because of that? I mean, how successful have you been?
I would say we've been very successful. However, we do have a couple of employers that have, said, my jobs are less than that. So they won't sign up for our service, unfortunately. But yeah, it is definitely something that we really pride ourselves on. Again, it's an intentional hiring model. So the employers that are using our program are very intentional about finding the right talent for their organizations. So we haven't gotten a lot of pushback, but we have had some.
And I just want to note, Erica, that there's an article that Robin wrote for our newsletter last week that's on our website. If you could get that link and put it in the chat, that has more information. I think the contact information for Robin as well, even though it's on the screen there as well. So I guess, in wrapping up, want to ask you about barriers. One of the areas that we have focused on here in the region or recognized as a challenge for some people as it relates to employment is mobility, transportation. Do you see that as an issue with some of the people that are trying to get a job through you all?
So not so much on the veteran side, we've not had that feedback. On the ability ascend side, yes, it's a major issue. One of the things that it's in our business plan eventually, and we've just rolled ability ascend out. I should have mentioned that we're still building the candidate database, so it's not yet open to employers. So if you've got any candidates out there that would like to sign up, please send them our way. But one of the things that we're doing as part of our business plan is to create we haven't really coined the term, but kind of ability Uber, in that we, as part of our function, would pay drivers to, if you needed a ride to work, you call Ability Uber and you're going to get a ride to work, get a ride back home. So it is a major issue for people with disabilities. But again, we've not had that come up on the veterans side at this point.
Perfect. Well, Robin, thanks so much for being with us and for sharing. It is really a fascinating program, and I think very needed, and right now especially timely, as especially here in our region. We're back to the 4 or 5% unemployment, and it's going to continue to decline. So anything that can help people who maybe are the ones who are struggling to get connected to jobs, to those positions, I think is critical. And so we thank you very much for your work and for being part of our TATT Chat today. And hopefully the information and things can be helpful to those here about the great work you're doing.
Thank you so much. It's been my pleasure.
Perfect. Well, I am going to quickly, before we get to our other part of the program, give an update on some of the things we have going on with 10 at the top. Erica will put our events link into the chat. We have really, it was a very busy May, and June will be just as busy. We have our next TATT Chat on June 10th with Congressman William Timmons. So thank you to Freddie Galt for who is on the call for his help with getting Congressman Timmons. He spoke to us about a year ago, so we're excited to have him again. We also have been doing the TATT Reconnects. I know some of you have been part of those, and we are very excited about continuing those. We're going to do 3 sessions in June, each with a specific topic. The first one on June 11th will be a upstate health systems update. We have board members and partners from our 4 health systems in the region, ANMed Health, Bon Secours St. Francis, Prisma Health, and Spartanburg Regional. So looking forward to that. That will be here in the Park 37 community room in our office park. June 18th will also be here. We're going to focus on workforce in the upstate with a special focus on skilled trades in manufacturing. If you were at the TATT Reconnect, where we looked at construction and the development world, much of that conversation was focused on specifically on jobs and the skilled trades and our aging workforce in those areas. So we're very fortunate. We have Ann Engemeyer from the Upstate Workforce Board, Mike Forster from Spartanburg Community College, and Wendy Walden from Greenville Tech, who will be our board hosts for that session. Then we're going to finish the month for TATT Reconnects in Spartanburg on June 25th at the Hub bookstore, the book shop, I'm sorry, in Spartanburg. Sharon Purvis, who used to work for us, is now the manager there, and we're very excited to be at the Hub City bookshop on June 25th for that session to look a little more in depth at Spartanburg. So a lot of good stuff going on, and I also am excited if Justine, you could put the image up. We announced today, hopefully you saw the save the date for our big event we're going to have on August 30th. We're calling it the Outdoor Networking Extravaganza. It is going to be a really cool event. We have an expo. All of our partners at the advocate level and higher will be able to have a expo display table as part of the event. And then we're going to have food and beverages from across the upstate, all 10 counties. And we also have Mac Arnold and his band coming along with the band that played for us back at our event in the fall. And Justine, I'm blanking on the name of.
Oh, me too. I'm going to remember it though.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you'll put that link up, that'll help us, or the image.
Brooks Dixon Band. Here we go.
Brooks Dixon Band. There we go. So Brooks Dixon Band is coming. So it's going to be a great event, August 30th. Be sure and put it on your calendar. And we will, if you are a current top funding partner, which I know most of those here are, you will have at least one free ticket, and more than that, depending on your level of support. But we will also be selling tickets. So those will start ticket sales in July. So put August 30th on your calendar. And with that, we always try for around Memorial Day and Veterans Day to focus on veterans services. And so we were real excited to have Robin present for us, and also excited for our county update or our resource update to have Teresa with Upstate Warrior Solutions. So Justine, I'll turn it over to you and you can introduce Teresa.
Thank you, Dean. I will work on minimizing the graphic for the event while Teresa's talking. Thanks, Teresa Thompson, for being with us from Upstate Warrior Solution. We've kind of rebranded this section of the TATT Chats as a resource update instead of county update because we've had so many interesting organizations talk about what they're doing. So thanks, Teresa. I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you. So glad to be here today and really happy to follow Robin. Robin is as I said to a couple people earlier, she's part of our family at Upstate Warrior Solution and we miss her. We miss seeing her around, but it's a great program and I highly recommend it. We recommend it to every veteran that walks through our door, by the way. So I just wanted to throw that out there. A couple other things I wanted to mention really quick because I don't want to forget it. Is a couple of our partners are on this call and I'm so glad to see their faces. Scott Smart with OpSource. He's a good partner of ours in the employment sector, and Judy Horton has really been a godsend to a lot of our veterans. She spends time with our veterans one-on-one on resumes and professional development, and she's with Discovery Raha. So I just wanted to throw a shout out to those two really quickly before I started. But Upstate Warrior Solution, we are what Robin said earlier. We are kind of a catch-all for veterans is probably the best way to say it. And if you ask us what we do, we say everything because we do try to do everything. Sometimes we can't, but we do. There's 100,000 veterans across the upstate of South Carolina, and we've reached 8,000 of them since we've had full-time employees in 2014. So we have a long way to go. We have lofty goals, but that is our goal, to reach all veterans. Now, not all veterans need assistance. There's a lot of veterans who transition, they're doing well, they have families, they have employment, they're doing well, but sometimes they just need to be around like-minded people. So that's why we want to connect with all veterans. So I wanted to throw that at there first because we always focus on support. And a lot of times people don't refer veterans to us because they don't think they need anything. Oftentimes when you're looking at a veteran, you might not think they need anything, but they really kind of do. And they're probably not going to say it. Part of what we do every single month is we have a pretty extensive outreach effort. I don't know if you saw the news last week, but we signed some MOUs with Greenville City and Greenville County. And the reason why that was so important is because we are using our law enforcement partners to do outreach for us. They are the ambassadors in the community. They come across far more people than anybody in this community. And we have asked them to, as they are interacting with people, whether they're helping somebody change a tire on the side of the road, or they're responding to maybe somebody's car was broken into and they're responding to that call, we're asking them to identify veterans and then refer them to us so that we can connect with them. And they've agreed to do that. We've got MOUs with different counties across the upstate as part of our Justice Involved Veteran Program, which is one of our, has really become one of our bigger programs because all the detention centers have opened their doors wide open to us and have allowed us to come in and visit veterans in the detention center. So what do we do when we meet a veteran? Just so you guys know, there's a variety of things that we do when we meet with them. First, we want to know if they're connected to the VA. We know the 100,000 number is not correct because not all veterans get connected to the VA. So we can look at census data, we can look at VA data, but we still know it's not correct. So we want to connect with the veteran. We want to see if they're connected to the VA. If they're not, we want to get them connected. If they don't qualify, we want to figure out if there's some other community-based resource that we can connect them to. And then we start going down the list. Do you have educational benefits? Do you know how to access them? Can we help you with that? Are you interested in technical school? Do you want to get a 4-year education? Do you need a job? Our employment program, Brig Berthall runs our employment program, and he's got a pretty good system now of people who need jobs right now, people who need to build and get a better job, and then people who want a career. So we do a variety of things in the employment sector, working with partners like Robin and Scott and Judy, by just trying to provide them skills along the way to help them get those jobs. It's a little difficult right now. We have about 2 to 3 companies call us every single day saying they need employees. 2 to 3 companies a day. And we just can't get them the people that they need. So we are out in the community trying to find veterans, trying to see, connect them to employment, connect them to better employment. One of our other big programs is housing. So we work from anybody that's homeless under the bridge, who maybe has been homeless for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, to somebody who maybe wants to buy a new house, or maybe they're in transition, maybe they were homeless. We work with, we're starting to see a lot of, I don't know that we're starting to see a lot of, we're recognizing kind of an uptick with some addictions type cases. So we work pretty closely with Favor, and we work very closely with the Phoenix Center, and both have been great partners of ours. And we're all trying to maneuver this. In addition to veterans, we also support their family members, so their spouses. We do all those things for veterans that we do for spouses, so we can help them find jobs. We can help them try to get education. There's a lot of events that they like to participate in. We do a couple kids camps in the summertime. We weren't able to do any last year for obvious reasons, but we do some kids camps in the summertime. In 2021, we have decided that we are going to open our services to first responders as well, regardless if they served in the military or not. We have realized that they are impacted by the same things that a lot of our military men and women are impacted by. One of those is job transition. And I know that firsthand. When I left the police department, I left with a master's degree and really said to myself, I know how to pull cars over and I know how to resolve, domestic, but what do I really know how to do? I don't think I know how to do anything. So they suffer from those same types of transition issues that military veterans do. And they're impacted by crisis things that happen in the community. They're impacted by post-traumatic stress, and we want them to be whole, happy, and healthy, because we think that's what's best for our community. So we are building that program right now. We're doing in the middle of a needs assessment to try to determine what are the needs, what are they looking for, what can we help them with. But we are looking forward to opening that up. Primarily, it's just police right now, but we are hoping to open that up to fire and EMS as well. So I think I covered everything. We serve all veterans, post 9/11, pre 9/11, regardless of, it doesn't matter what their discharge status was. If you've served in the United States Armed Forces, we feel that it's our duty, and it's really our honor to try to help you get transition back in our community.
Thank you, Teresa. We have time if anyone has any questions they want to put in the chat or just unmute themselves. I'm an Army brat myself, so I'm sure this would have been super helpful for my parents, as my dad was transitioning 20 years out of the Army. Took him a while to get that figured out. And I'm really excited about sharing some things also with a friend who's got a son who's coming out of the Navy. So
Justine, I have a question for Teresa. So Teresa, you mentioned, which I think is great, the first responder program. Are there other examples? Is that something that other similar organizations to you all are doing across the country? Or is that something that you guys are just kind of piloting as a need?
We are not sure if anybody else is doing it. We have had we've had an organization from New York, a sister organization of ours, a couple sister organization of ours reach out to us and start asking questions about it, because they are also interested in doing it as well. So I think Upstate Warrior Solution, we're one of those groups. And I think Mayor Roberts can attest this because he's part of our community action board, but we have the community action boards and we are about action. So we're one of those groups. I mean, it's a bunch of Marines and me. So we sit around a lot and we look around and we're like, there's stuff going on in our community. We know there's an answer, and we're willing to take the lead, so to speak, to figure out what the solution is. We don't want to sit around and wait for somebody else to figure it out. We know we have the capacity to do it. We know we have the relationships to do it. We know we have so many partners in our community. We've never had anybody that's reached out to us for veterans. We want to provide this for veterans. It's part of our standard practice now to say, well, will you provide that to first responders? We have never had anybody say no. And as a matter of fact, they're like, wow, absolutely. I didn't even think about that. Yes, absolutely. So I think sometimes it's just not it's not in the foresight of things for most people, but when we bring it up, they seem to be really, excited and interested in it. For those that want to know how you can get somebody to us, and really honestly, please send any veterans whether you meet them, whether they're your attorney, whether you're at the gas station and somebody's filling up next to you and you think they're a veteran. Hey, have you heard of Upstate Warrior Solution? Please send them our way. But you can refer them to us on our website. We created a refer now button on there actually for our law enforcement partners, because they were getting out with people at 3 o'clock in the morning and said, how are we supposed to get somebody to you at 3 in the morning? So we created a spot on there that they can click and they can fill in the information, and it goes to all of our advocates directly. And those advocates have to reach out. And even if the person's homeless, they've got to go see if they can find them somewhere. But they have to reach out within about 48 hours to try to contact that veteran that's been referred to. So please refer anybody. You can send them to any one of us. You can send them by phone. You can send them by our website. We're just happy to connect and try to help with any veteran.
And Erica has put the website on the chat. Teresa, you mentioned that there's been an uptick in substance abuse during COVID and things of that nature. I wonder also, have you all seen, because I think we've seen it holistically, an uptick in folks needing just general mental support, because of just the additional mental health challenges that everybody is facing at some level?
Yeah, and it's really difficult right now because the federal government, and this is not a slight by all means. I mean, you have to do what you have to do, but they're still doing a lot of their appointments at the VA virtually, which I'm not sure. Veterans are kind of on the fence about that. Some it's not useful for, some are, some like the personal connection. So at the beginning when COVID hit, we made the decision early on that we were not going to stay home, that we were not going to shut our doors, and that we were going to continue to work. We knew that the people weren't going to come to us, so we decided that we were going to get in our system and proactively we didn't get all of them clearly, but try to call the over 7,000 veterans we had in our system at the time. And our goal at the time was to say, you're not alone. We're still here. We're going to get through this with you. What do you need right now, today? Make sure you call us in 4 months when it gets really bad. Just remember you're still here. And we had a lot of good feedback from our veterans on that. There was a lot of good feedback. And I think Mayor Roberts, I think you were getting ready to ask about funding for our organization. And thank you for bringing that up, because that is important. We are a local nonprofit, and we're not connected to any other large nonprofit. We are born and raised, so to speak, here in the upstate of South Carolina. So all of our money is raised in South Carolina here in the upstate. About 43% of it is grant funding. So we rely on a lot of grant funding, and then we have events, and then we have personal donations and corporate donations. So all of that money that we raise here in the upstate, we're proud to say stays here in the upstate. We are considering branching. Well, our staff members have already branched out to Greenwood and Lawrence, just because, and Union and Cherokee, because there's really not any, there's gaps of service for veterans in those areas. So we have people already reaching out to us for assistance, and our staff members, sometimes we have to pull their reins back a little bit, but they're not going to say no to anybody. So they're already kind of branching out in those counties, trying to assist as well. The one last thing I wanted to throw in is our partnership with Prisma. And we are in the process of starting with Spartanburg Regional. They measure all the veterans that come through, or they identify all the veterans that come through their emergency departments. There's about 900 a month through the Prisma system, which when we first got those numbers floored us. And then there's about 300 a month that go through Spartanburg Regional, but they're identifying veterans for us. And then, of course, through all the release of information, and, they follow all HIPAA guidelines. But once they identify them as a veteran, the hospital can only handle one thing, the broken arm. And then they want to send them to us for all the other social determinants of health. So that's a great partnership that is really starting to produce some good connections for us.
Thank you, Teresa. Such amazing work. Okay, I would like to, I'm going to share this, we're going to multitask. Share this event that Dean was referring to earlier, save the date for Blues, Brews, and Barbecue. And we also have not introduced our summer intern yet. Mr. Patrick Flagler is here in the office with us from Furman University. Patrick, would you like to say hello and tell us a bit about yourself?
Sure. Hi. So I am a rising junior at Furman. I'm studying sustainability science, sort of with an interest in economics and environmental side and sort of how those come together. And so that's what I'm studying at Furman, and I am interning here at 10 at the top this summer. I'm living in Greenville.
Thank you very much. We'll have him on our Upstate Professional Planners group in a couple years. So unless you have anything else, Dean, I think that Mayor Roberts can close us out.
Okay. Again, good stuff, and very appropriate topic right around the holiday weekend. And I appreciate Robin and Teresa sharing their organizations and how they help our citizens. So just, support them, donate money, subscribe if you're in a position with a company or organization that can subscribe to one of Robin's organization. But I hope everybody enjoys their holiday weekend. Be safe and be careful and have a good time. Thanks.
Thank you, Terrence.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye. Thank you for your service.